Our top story here on KCAL9 News at 10 and streaming on CBSN Los Angeles is breaking news in Echo Park. Live pictures now from Sky 9 as the LAPD tries to clear the streets tonight around Echo Park Lake. Good evening, everybody. I'm Juan Fernandez, and tonight for Jeff Vaughn.
Hi, everyone. I'm Susie Sa. Protesters are facing off with police. There have been arrests, and it's all over the city's decision to close down the homeless camp at Echo Park Lake. An unlawful assembly was declared tonight by the LAPD, and we've been tracking the situation from both the air and the ground all day and night.
Let's go to KCAL9's Leslie Maring live in Echo Park with the very latest for us. Leslie.
Juan, Susie, speaking of those arrests, I do want to get right to the scene playing out behind me. Take a look. I'm going to have my photographer zoom in pretty far from where we're standing, but you can see that is where another group of what we believe are protesters that are being currently processed right now by LAPD officers. Now, earlier tonight, we did see several protesters, several dozen, I should say, already being loaded over onto these buses out here. You can see it looks like two full buses of some of these protesters that have been arrested tonight. Looks like these buses may be getting ready to haul out, and they'll possibly bring more in. But I want to get to video of how everything unfolded tonight. Let's get to video from 8:30 tonight. That's when LAPD was facing off with about 100 protesters right outside LA City Councilman Mitch O'Farrell's district office at Lemoyne and Sunset. Now, he represents this area and has taken the lead really for the city in clearing up the camp. The LAPD declared an unlawful assembly after protesters refused to clear the streets. They claim some of the protesters were using a high-intensity light trying to blind officers from doing their job. Officers formed a line, marched up to that crowd, and started arresting people one by one. If we can get to video of the protesters being loaded onto these buses, we counted about a dozen arrests so far. Everyone who was arrested was brought to a staging area where LAPD buses were waiting. No reports of any violence tonight, unlike last night when police faced off with protesters claiming smoke bombs were thrown at officers. Now, the protesters are opposed to the city's plan to clear the park, believing the homeless have a right to camp here. Now, today we did get a look inside the camp. The city says people in the camp have until 10:30 to leave. This, if we can bring it up, is video from inside the camp this afternoon. We believe about 20 people were still there midday. Social workers talking with them to encourage them to accept motel vouchers. So far, city spokespeople do say that about 166 people have agreed to leave. The city says they are placing them in hotels through Project Room Key. We do not know exactly how LAPD right now and the city plans to really clear the park and if they will arrest people who refuse to leave. Right now, LAPD telling us they will not enter the Echo Park Lake area until 10:30 tonight. If we can come back out here live to us, you can see all that tall fencing, really fortress of fence tonight. The city did install this fencing earlier today. Now, we know crews are scheduled to begin a $500,000 in repairs to the park, fixing some of the damage that they say may have been caused by the camp and the people who lived around the lake. But behind me, those buses have now taken off again. We believe several dozen protesters already arrested, and it looks like police continue to process some of these protesters that will be booked tonight. Reporting live, Leslie Maring, KCAL9 News. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Leslie, thanks so much. Let's go back now to Sky 9 for another bird's eye view of what's going on in Echo Park there. As you can see, there are a lot of police officers and protesters there in the area. Of course, I was hearing just a short time ago that they were trying to get some of these people to leave verbally before being arrested, but some people are still staying there. So eventually, I do believe the crowd is going to be thinning out, either because they do leave on their own or they get arrested.
That's right. As we mentioned, an unlawful assembly has been declared when people in this large crowd of protesters actually use flashlights or high-intensity lights.
Smoke bombs, too. Yeah.
Smoke bombs, shining them at officers, throwing them at officers. As Leslie was talking about, several dozen arrests were made tonight when several hundred protesters gathered for a mostly calm protest. But as we mentioned, an unlawful assembly declared after the crowd started throwing things at officers, just like last night, pushing and shoving, and they certainly did not want to see that. So we're going to keep an eye on the situation in Echo Park and have another update for you at 10:30 coming up again with Leslie Maring.
Now to an unthinkable and gruesome attack.